My dad, also a sound guy, when the first wave of electric cars were being sold, him and a bunch of his sound guide friends were getting lunch together, and someone asked the table, like, now that we can make a car sound like literally anything, what should we use
What do we do
as the engine sound? And the sound that the group came up with as like what all cars could sound like is...
All right, we reviewed a certain car recently.
Were you here for that?
I was here for
the delivery, right?
I saw it temporarily.
Oh, okay.
And
so
I looked
you haven't
inside.
heard it in person?
I've heard it because I've heard Miles
Okay, great.
doing it.
So,
Yeah.
I just wanted to bring up the car and get your guys' takes on it because I had a pretty straightforward take. I drove it for a week. It is a Dodge Charger. Cool. There's a bunch of different Dodge Chargers. This is the electric version of the Dodge Charger. And there aren't any good convincing reasons to buy it,
Oh,
in my opinion.
okay.
So,
0.
Yeah.
driving it, like, I could tell what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be fun. It's a Charger. All the rest of the Chargers are supposed to be fun too.
Interesting.
But as you go down the list, you're like, all right, what is the real like king thing that that it's amazing at? Is it performance? Is it that? Okay, maybe you could argue that it's the quickest Charger ever. It's 0 to 60 in 3.3 seconds. It's 600 plus horsepower, all-wheel drive. So it's the fastest like launching Charger. But you know, a quarter mile is like 11 and a half seconds. Like if you really just care about that in an EV, there are plenty of EVs that are faster. Like I brought up a couple examples in the video. Model 3 Performance walks it. EV6 GT is faster. If you really care about that for the same price, which was $80,000 for the version I tested, you could get a used Plaid. So
Damn.
So the reason you'd buy it can't just be straight line speed. Okay, so what other reasons are there?
It's a Charger.
It's a Charger.
And the people who want to buy the Charger want the Charger. I feel like it's such a specific product.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just
So
realized
the-
how good the name is for an
Charger
EV.
for an EV. Yeah, missed opportunity there. They could have done something fun with that.
Oh, shoot. They could have called it the Supercharger
That also is, though,
or the Fast Charger.
a car thing.
Yeah.
Hypercharger.
That's all I know.
It won't be a track car because it weighs 6,000 pounds and it's not good at that. So there's that. It won't be a road tripper because it only has 240 miles of range and only charges at 183 kilowatts. It won't be a Charger because it doesn't have an engine, and it does have that loud speaker on the back. And don't get me wrong, it is loud.
It's very
It is it's louder than Micah. It's a very loud speaker system, 126 decibels. It makes all sorts of noises. It rumbles the actual car as you're sitting in it, and you can feel it when you rev. And yes, you can rev,
Interesting.
but it doesn't sound as good as the gas version, number one. And it also gets annoying because it just kind of has this droning because it doesn't like shift gears. So you know how if you like, CVT, you'll like get up to speed and just kind of stays at the same. Like if you drove a regular gas car and you just like shifted to second gear and never got out of second gear, that's what it sounds like to drive this car around. So it's kind of just, and so it's loud, yes, if that's what you're into, but unlike maybe the Ioniq 5, which could let you like play with the gears or whatever, you can't do that with this car. So it's not a good Charger. It's not a good road tripper. It's not a good track car. It's not a good straight line car. What is it?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
The sound, does it like go with like the speed you're going? Does that, or is it just the same like
Okay.
high power revving sound
I'll give you a
all
couple
of the time?
notes about the sound. Interestingly, it seems to be coordinated directly to how many G's you're experiencing. So it's quiet when you're not accelerating, but when you're braking or accelerating, it gets louder and like a little more high pitched. So as you drive, maybe pulling up to a stoplight, you'd hear it go, and then as you pull off from the stoplight, and then you get up to speed, and it's just,
Like constantly?
and it's just that,
Can you turn
droning.
it? You can't turn that off?
So you can turn it off.
Oh, okay.
I turned it off.
Oh, okay.
Because I just got annoyed by it.
Yeah.
It's louder in track mode than like regular mode, so you can like dial it up or down, but I just wanted to turn it off. And then the other note about the sound is I feel like I could actually hear the MP3 looping.
Because it's just a constant drone the entire
It's just
time.
a constant drone, and if you are at the same pitch for a while, you could hear and I could hear that, and I was like, as soon as I
Are you
heard that, I was like, I have to
serious?
turn this off. Yeah. And I noticed that. And as soon as I noticed it, I was like, let me find how to turn this off because it's
Yeah.
really annoying.
That's unacceptable in 2025.
Yeah.
I'm also very curious for who the target demographic for this car is.
Well, the argument is it misses all of the targets.
Okay, yeah.
Because if you're Dodge and you're trying to make a charger, you're trying to sell an EV to them, then the target demographic is someone who wants a charger but wants an electric car. Right away, that Venn diagram has almost no overlap.
Yeah.
And you got this huge speaker system on the back, so it's a muscle car. It's loud. You're trying to sell a car to people who want a loud muscle car,
Yeah.
but want an electric car. Like, who is that? And they have 80 grand to spend on it. I didn't really see who that is. So here's where I landed.
Okay.
Daily commuter, comfortable cruiser. It can do that. It's very comfortable. It's soft. It rides well. It has a ton of space. It's a hatchback, so it has a big trunk. It also has a front trunk, but it's tiny, whatever, it doesn't matter. But like lots of leg room, lots of headroom, lots of visibility. It's this huge two-door, which is kind of hilarious, but whatever. Like there's tons of space. And you ride along in soft mode, turn the sound off, and it's chill.
How much is this car?
This car starts at about 50 grand and goes up to like, I think the one I tested is $86,000.
So $86,000.
Yeah.
For a comfy commuter car.
For a nice, comfortable cruiser.
There are a lot of people who buy those like base Chargers, base Challengers, or whatever, like that are pretty cheap and don't have all the big like benefits of like a muscle car. They just look like a muscle car that you can drive to the grocery store with.
And this one looks like a muscle car.
Yeah, it looks good. I think it looks really nice.
You could fit so many groceries in this car.
Does it have a frunk?
A tiny frunk. I can fit a backpack in the front. It's weird because it's an enormous car, and the front trunk is
So
like
what are they
small.
doing with all the space?
So they use the same chassis and same design for the gas and electric charger.
Oh.
So it's not a ground up EV where they would have all this extra space. Like there's still a tunnel going between the driver and passenger seat. There's nothing in there.
Oh.
In the gas version there is.
Interesting.
But in the electric version it just has a tunnel there.
Huh.
So yeah, there's just a lot of a missing space.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have two really quick thoughts. One is, I think "Supposed to Be Fun" would have been a great title for your
That was my
autofocus.
alternate title.
Okay, that would have been
supposed
really
to be
good.
fun.
This looks like it's doing well.
Yeah.
My second thought is we all ragged on the Mustang Mach-E when it first came out because we're like, why would you call this Mustang?
You all ragged on it.
Hold on.
You all ragged on it.
We ragged on the fact that it was a Mustang, right?
Yeah.
Like they launched it as a Mustang EV, but it was really like this Ford
Fair.
crossover.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
And even though I still think it didn't make much sense, seeing this now of like, here's the actual muscle car that's an EV, and realizing that none of the muscle car people really want an EV,
Yeah.
maybe that was the better decision. I still think it's weird they went with a Mustang, but
Okay.
the Mach-E is great and it's still doing good.
Hear me out. And maybe muscle car is different from like a different kind of nice car. Imagine they made, that what was the Porsche, the guy that takes the old Porsche bodies and retrofits them into sacrilege motors.
Car, yeah.
I and many other people would 100% buy that car.
I think that's different.
But that's
than,
probably
like,
not considered a
car.
muscle car, right?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's different.
I agree. The muscle car demographic probably does not have overlap with the EV demographic, but
I agree.
the like old school,
Agreed.
like classic car demographic definitely does.
Right.
Okay, question for you. What if they had nailed the sound of this car through the speaker instead of hearing the loop and all that? And like we heard a charger the other day and you were like, see, that's what a charger's supposed to sound like. Like,
Yeah.
what if they had nailed that part of it? Do
Like you
think
know
that
how
should
on
be
the
better?
Sigma camera and also on the MacBook you didn't know that there was no actual button and that
It's
just
so
haptic.
convincing.
It's so convincing that until
Okay.
someone tells you, you have no idea. What if it felt and sounded identical?
Sure. Let me give you that. Let's say there's a theoretical world where the sound is so incredible that it actually matches the gas car. It would still not be good at any of the other things that it was supposed to be good at, which is it's not as quick in a straight line as all the other competitive EVs that are good at that. It's not a lot of range. And here's the funny thing about those motors. So it's a 335 horsepower rear motor and a 335 horsepower front motor. If I can get into weeds for a second, that's a little bit unusual. typically you have a more powerful rear motor because when you accelerate, all of the weight goes backwards and onto the rear axle. So you want a more powerful rear axle. That's your limiting factor.
Yeah.
The very powerful front motor almost never gets saturated. So in this car, it's evenly split between the two, and you have a 6,000-pound car and sticky tires, and it actually is so heavy and so weak at the rear axle that it cannot do a standing burnout. It's not capable of it. For those who know Chargers, that's the whole thing. Like, you want to be able to just do a burnout. That's the rear-wheel drive cars. They light up the tires, they spin or whatever. This car is so heavy and so weak at the rear axle that it can't do that.
Oh, wow.
So it doesn't do the Charger thing, even though it makes a cool noise. It doesn't do the road trip thing. It doesn't do the straight line thing. It doesn't do the track thing. So it would still not be a good car, but it would sound great, and that would be a cool accomplishment. And, you know, I think to some people, this car sounds cool. But, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Dang.
In my opinion.
Can I go on a quick rant that I've already gone on like 10 times that this car proves it.
30% vote.
What? Oh. Yes, 30% of people at South by Southwest at our panel at South by Southwest voted that I had the worst takes on Waveform. So here's another one, baby. No, this also goes back to the Ioniq 5N, and it's like you can make a car that tries to sound like a gas engine and like has the rumble and like all these things, but I just feel like it's so much better to make something that is firmly itself and like lives in its own lane and makes a sound that is its own. And the 5N got like close, but I feel like those sounds were like kind of corny, especially the backfire sound was like so bad. And and
I think when they are trying to emulate an existing thing, you're going to fail.
Yeah, and there's there's good examples of companies doing this. Like the OG Tesla backup sound, I thought was like a really brilliantly designed sound. Sort of like the sort of like soft hum. I thought that was really great. The BMW, that 7 Series hybrid that Hans Zimmer did all the sounds for. I thought that sounds really great. And then there's like when we were doing the Cybertruck video, you know, both Cybertruck videos, I had mics all over the motors and that thing like deep inside the car. And the sounds we got out of it were like not that interesting, right? And so we spruced them up in the video and we made the car sound really cool. And no one was like, wow, Ellis, like you totally lied to me. They were like, that sounds really cool and fun. And I think that the best example of this, and I know I brought this up a million times, there's a Ford concept car from like 5 years ago called the Mach-E 1400. It's like the supercharged version. And
sounds like a Banshee.
It sounds like the coolest car ever. And I know it didn't sound like that in person, but it's like, that's what we should be striving for, in my opinion. It's something that, like, if you want to make a car sound like it rips, just make it sound like it rips. Like,
I will plus one that. I think we're in this weird era still where if you're trying to sell electric cars to people, it's almost everyone's first electric car. And so they need to build things in that are familiar to gas car users.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of vestigial features that are just for that person. And we got to get a couple generations in where someone who's never driven a gas car drives their first car and it's electric and they don't care that it doesn't have a sound. So I will say the Porsche Taycan Turbo GT, I've watched all the reviews of that car. Way less sound deadening in that car. Rimac Nevera, another one. You just hear the motors. Yeah. And it's just a electrical motor sound, and that's all you need. Yeah. And it doesn't have to make a fake sound, and that is the sound of an electric car, and that's fine.
Think about how breathtaking a driving experience would be. And also, yes, auto companies, if you want to hire me, I will make your sounds. Just get on the line. But think about how breathtaking it would be for someone who has experience with performance gasoline cars, right? They're on a mile drag strip, like a long drag strip. They get the car up to full speed, and instead of the car making some loud noise to be like, you're going fast, the car goes dead silent. Like, picture how that would feel as a driver. Like, you hear the motors spinning up and getting louder and louder, and then you hit 160, 170, and all of a sudden, like, that would be such a unique sonic experience that would be unique to that car, and I think would really wow people who are gas familiar. I don't know, just call me, pay me, I'll take a cool mill for this, and everyone will be talking about it, and we'll call it a day.
I think that was a great take, Ellis.
I watch a lot of car reviews from automotive journalists who drive a lot of gas cars, And the number one word that they use when driving an electric sports car that they say it's missing is emotion. And I find that really interesting.
But putting the sound of a gas car in an electric car is just like putting that meme with the mask
like
on
fake
top of the
emotion.
crying face.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's not emotion. You're stealing it from something else already. Give it
Yeah.
its own characteristics.
I think gas cars, they started up with this technology of an internal combustion engine, and it was great, and they happened to make noise. And so the sports cars would lean in and embrace that noise because it was just a part of the mechanical, emotional feeling of like going through driving a car. I think electric cars in the future eventually should just lean into the thing that makes them better than gas cars, which is they have more torque, they are quieter, like they can do faster acceleration. They have all these things that are inherently superior to. They warm up quicker.
Yeah.
They have all these things that are better, and they should just lean into that. And I get that there's a couple of things like creep or regen or little noises and things that make gas users more comfortable, or lack of regen, I guess I should say. But yeah, for now, almost every new electric car is somebody's first electric car.
And you're so right. Those are things that could be orally communicated to a driver. Why do cars not have a regen sound? Why can you not hear the traction control adjusting the power of the motor
Right,
on
yeah.
each wheel and get directional feedback from that? Like, there's all
Right.
these things that are unique to electric cars,
Yeah.
and these sound designers are just like,
Yeah.
nah, bro, make the steering wheel vibrate.
Like when you're
That's what
doing-
people want,
Yeah,
baby.
like when you're doing one pedal driving and you let go of the accelerator and it starts spinning on the regen, it should be like woo.
There
or
are
like something
so
interesting.
many.
There's a lot of stuff you could do.
And that's the emotion that these look. I'm not like a gas car guy. I'm not going to call them a mean name, but that's the emotion that these people are talking about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're talking about the feedback they're getting from the machine.
Yeah.
There are things in an electric car that you should be getting feedback about, not on an iPad.
Yeah, right.
That you can get with your ears. Anyway, I'm very
Yeah.
upset about this. I've been upset about it.
No,
for
you should lean in.
years.
You should lean into the things that technology is doing. There's this video that got passed around last week called "Why Young People Like Old Things."
Yeah.
And it's this very young kid, and he makes some very good points about basically it all comes down to your senses and the fact that like when you're just tapping an iPad, there's no sort of sensory input into anything that you're doing. And that object has replaced all of these things that used multiple different parts of your senses to sort of like give you that experience. And so when you're driving an electric car that is taking away a lot of those senses because it doesn't do the rumble, it doesn't do like all these like old gas things, they should just lean into the things that the car is actually doing to like
Yeah.
bring those senses back.
Here's a really specific example. We did the driving the Model 3 on a track, remember a couple years ago?
yeah.
When you're driving an electric car on a track, you can hear when each tire is like starting to break traction. Where in a gas car, you can feel it, but you only hear the engine. But in an electric car, as you're going around like a cone course on a track, you hear exactly when you start to slide versus just kind of trying to feel
and
it.
the car knows that which tires have traction, how much traction to do. They could build that into the sound engine. Car
yeah.
companies, hire me, please. I can help you.
Software.
Yeah, my dad. This is the last thing, and then we'll leave sound. But you know, sound guy. You don't get the opportunity that much to talk about stuff like this. My dad, also a sound guy. When the first wave of electric cars were being sold, him and a bunch of his sound guy friends were getting lunch together, and someone asked the table, like, now that we can make a car sound like literally anything, what should we use as the engine sound? And the sound that the group came up with as like what all cars could sound like is
I'm so sorry for everyone who had to hear that.
just picture an entire freeway of like
No, I refuse to
Sounds like
picture
a
that.
swarm of locusts. That could work.
What's up? Ellis here. Welcome to the Clips outro. And I just wanted all of our viewers to close their eyes and imagine something real quick. And I want you to imagine a Google executive walking out of their office. Let's say it's their New York office. They step outside and this song starts playing. And as they step down the street holding their prototype Pixel, having a great day, a strong gust of wind comes and blows the Pixel into the air. It flips over and over and over before it just happens to land in the hands of someone who does CAD modeling for a tech reviewer. And this happens every single time they release a Pixel. Every single time. Anyway.
We should do live theater.
Yeah. We should. Anyway, though, but thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, engage, give back to your community, hug your family, and thanks. And yeah, we'll see you next week.
Take a vacation.
I did do that once.